It was a bright, sunny afternoon in a little town called Dusty Hollow. The sky was blue, with not a cloud in sight. Birds chirped in the trees, and a soft wind blew through the streets. People were out and about, doing their usual stuff. Some walked their dogs. Some sat on benches, eating ice cream. Others talked and laughed with their friends. It was a happy day, the kind where nothing seemed like it could go wrong. Down the middle of Main Street walked Mia Carter. She was a woman who couldn't see. Her eyes didn't work, so she was blind. But Mia didn't let that stop her. She had a big smile on her face, a quiet, gentle one that made her look kind. In her hand, she held a long, white cane. She tapped it on the ground as she walked. Talp, talp, talp. It helped her know where she was going, like a guide for her feet. Next to her walked her dog, Rex. He was a big German shepherd with shiny black and brown fur. His ears stood up tall, and his eyes were sharp. He stayed right by Mia's side, his paws hitting the ground soft and steady. To everyone watching, Mia looked like just a regular lady. A blind woman with her dog. Nothing special, right? That's what the people of Dusty Hollow thought. They saw her walking and didn't think much about it. "Oh, there's Mia again," they'd say. "Nice lady. Quiet. Keeps to herself." And that was that. No one stopped to wonder about her. No one asked questions. They just went on with their day, not knowing the truth. But here's the thing, they were so wrong. Mia wasn't just some ordinary person. And Rex? Oh, Rex was way more than just a pet. He wasn't like the other dogs in town, the ones who chased balls or barked at squirrels. No, Rex had a secret. A big, amazing secret that nobody in Dusty Hollow knew about. It was the kind of secret that could make your jaw drop. The kind that could make even the toughest, meanest guy shake in his boots. But on this sunny day, no one had a clue. Not yet. Let's talk about Dusty Hollow for a minute. It was a small town, the kind where everyone knew everyone. There was one Main Street, with little shops on both sides. There was a candy store with big jars of gumdrops and lollipops. There was a bakery that smelled like fresh bread every morning. There was even a tiny park with swings and a slide where kids played after school. The houses were small, with neat yards and flowers growing out front. It was a peaceful place, a place where nothing big ever happened. Or so people thought. Mia lived in a little house at the edge of town. It was painted yellow with a white fence around it. She liked it there because it was quiet. She could hear the birds singing in the morning and the crickets at night. She didn't need much, just her house, her cane, and Rex. That was enough for her. She didn't talk to people a lot. She wasn't rude or mean. She just liked being alone. Sometimes she'd say hi to the neighbors, but mostly she stayed by herself. People didn't mind. They figured she was shy because she was blind. "Poor Mia," they'd say. "She's all alone with that dog." But Mia didn't feel alone. She had Rex, and that was all she needed. Rex was her best friend. He wasn't just any dog. He was her guide dog. That means he helped her get around since she couldn't see. When Mia wanted to go to the store, Rex walked her there. When she wanted to sit in the park, Rex led the way. He knew how to stop at streets so cars wouldn't hit them. He knew how to find the door to her house. He was smart, really smart. And he was big, too. His fur was thick, and his legs were strong. When he stood next to Mia, he came up to her hip. Some people thought he looked a little scary because he was so big. But Mia knew he was gentle. To her, he was perfect. The people in Dusty Hollow saw Rex all the time. They'd see him walking with Mia, his leash loose in her hand. "What a good dog," they'd say. So calm, so quiet. And it was true. Rex didn't bark much. He didn't run around or chase things like other dogs. He just stayed by Mia, watching everything. His eyes were always moving, looking at the people, the cars, the trees. It was like he was keeping an eye on the world for her. But no one thought he was special. To them, he was just a guide dog, a helper for a blind lady. Nothing more. Oh, how wrong they were. See, this sunny afternoon wasn't going to stay peaceful. Something was coming. Something loud and fast and mean. It was trouble, and it was headed straight for Mia. She didn't know it yet. Neither did Rex. But it was coming all the same. And it wasn't walking or running. It was rolling in on two wheels with a sound that shook the ground. Let's set the scene a little more. Main Street was busy that day. Kids were riding bikes, their bells ringing. A man pushed a cart selling hot dogs, yelling, "Get your hot dogs here." A lady watered flowers outside her shop, humming a little song. The sun was high, making everything warm and bright. Mia walked slow and steady, her cane tapping the sidewalk. Tolp, tolp, tolp. Rex matched her steps, his big paws quiet on the ground. They were headed to the bakery. Mia liked the smell of the bread there. She didn't buy much, just a little roll sometimes, but she loved sitting outside with Rex, feeling the sun on her face. Everything seemed normal, perfect even, the kind of day you want to last forever. But forever doesn't always happen. Sometimes things change fast, and that's what was about to go down in Dusty Hollow. Mia didn't talk much about her life. People didn't know where she came from. She moved to town a few years ago, and that was it. No one asked her questions. They didn't want to be nosy. She's blind, they'd say. Let her be. So they left her alone. They didn't know she'd lived other places before. They didn't know she'd seen things, well, not seen with her eyes, but heard things, felt things. They didn't know she wasn't weak or helpless. Mia was strong in her own way. She had to be. Life isn't always easy when you can't see, but she'd learned how to handle it. And she had Rex to help her. Rex wasn't born in Dusty Hollow. He came with Mia when she moved there. No one knew where he'd been before. They didn't know he'd had a different life, a big, wild life, before he became her guide dog. He didn't act like a puppy who'd grown up chasing toys. He acted like he'd been somewhere important, somewhere tough. But Mia never told anyone about that. It was her secret, and Rex's too. They kept it locked up tight, like a treasure chest with no key. The people walking by that day didn't think twice about Mia and Rex. They saw her cane, her slow steps, her dog. Just Mia, they thought. Nothing exciting. A man tipped his hat to her as he passed. A kid waved, even though Mia couldn't see it. A lady said, "Nice day, huh?" Mia nodded and smiled because she could hear the kindness in the lady's voice. It was all so normal, so quiet, so safe. But safe doesn't always last. Imagine you're Mia for a second. You can't see the sun, but you feel it warming your skin. You can't see the shops, but you hear the jingle of their doors opening and closing. You can't see the people, but you hear their voices, happy, loud, soft. And you've got Rex next to you, his fur brushing your hand. You trust him. He's your eyes. He's your friend. You're just walking, enjoying the day, not expecting anything bad. Why would you? It's Dusty Hollow. Nothing happens here. Now imagine you're someone watching Mia. Maybe you're sitting on a bench, eating a sandwich. You see her coming down the street, tap, tap, tap with her cane. You see Rex, big and calm, walking with her. You don't think much of it. She's just a lady with a dog. You go back to your sandwich, not knowing that everything's about to change. Because it was. The first hint came soft at first. A low sound, far away, like a buzz or a hum. Mia didn't hear it yet. Her ears were good, but not that good. Rex didn't hear it either, not at first. The people on Main Street kept doing their thing, talking, walking, laughing. No one noticed the sound getting louder. But it grew and grew, like a storm rolling in slow. A rumble, a growl. Something big was coming. Then it got close, real close. The ground started to shake a little. The birds stopped singing. The kids on their bikes stopped pedaling and looked around. The hot dog man stopped yelling. The lady watering flowers stood up straight, her watering can dripping. Everyone heard it now, a loud, mean roar. It filled the air, bouncing off the buildings. It was the sound of engines, motorcycle engines, and they weren't friendly. Mia stopped walking. Her cane rested on the ground. Rex stopped too, his ears twitching. He lifted his head, sniffing the air. Something was different. Something was wrong. Mia couldn't see it, but she could feel it. The air wasn't calm anymore. It was heavy, like trouble was breathing down her neck. The people on Main Street turned to look. Down at the end of the road, dust kicked up in a big cloud. The roar got louder, so loud it hurt your ears. And then they saw it. 5 motorcycles, shiny and black, speeding into town. The riders wore leather jackets, their hair blowing wild. They looked tough. They looked mean, and they were coming fast. Trouble had arrived in Dusty Hollow, and it was headed straight for Mia. She didn't know it yet. She couldn't see the bikes, or the dust, or the mean grins on the riders' faces. But she heard the engines. She felt the ground shake. And Rex? His ears were up high now. His body got stiff. He didn't growl, Not yet, but he was ready. Ready for what? No one knew. Not the people watching. Not the bikers roaring closer. Not even Mia, really. But something was about to happen. Something big. Because Mia wasn't just a blind lady. And Rex wasn't just a dog. They were more, way more, than anyone thought. And those bikers? They were about to find out the hard way. The sun was still shining. The day was still warm. But the peace was gone. Trouble was here, roaring loud and rolling fast. And Mia and Rex were right in its path. What would happen next? Oh, you'll see. This was just the start. The real fun, the real surprise was still coming. And it was going to be wild. The peace in Dusty Hollow didn't last long. It was a sunny day, and Mia was walking down Main Street with her cane tapping the ground. Talp, talp, talp. Her big dog, Rex, stayed right by her side, his paws quiet on the sidewalk. Everything seemed fine until the sound came. It hit hard and fast, like a punch to the air, a loud rumble, a growl that shook the street. It was the sound of motorcycle engines, ripping through the quiet town like a storm. 5 bikes rolled in. They were shiny and black, with big wheels and loud pipes. Dust flew up behind them, making a cloud that hid the end of the road. On those bikes sat 5 guys, tough-looking guys with leather jackets and messy hair. They laughed loud, their voices mean and sharp. They weren't here to be nice. They were here to cause trouble, and they were good at it. The leader of the gang was a guy named Spike. He was big, with a scruffy beard and a nasty grin that showed his teeth. His jacket had patches on it, skulls and snakes, and his bike was the loudest of all. Spike liked picking on people. He'd look for anyone who seemed weak, anyone he could scare, and then he'd go after them. It was like a game to him, a mean, rotten game. And when he saw Mia crossing the street, his eyes lit up. To him, she was perfect, a blind lady with a cane, walking slow. Easy pickings, he thought. Oh boy, was he wrong. Mia was in the middle of the street when the bikes roared closer. She couldn't see them, but she heard them. The engines were so loud, they made her ears buzz. Rex heard it too. His ears twitched, and he lifted his head a little. The people on Main Street stopped what they were doing. The hot dog man froze with a bun in his hand. The kids on their bikes stopped pedaling. The lady watering flowers dropped her can, water splashing on her shoes. Everyone turned to look. Trouble was here, and it was loud. Spike pulled his bike to a stop right in front of Mia. Dust puffed up around him, making Rex blink. Spike leaned forward, his grin growing bigger. "Hey, lady," he shouted, his voice rough and mean. He revved his bike. Vroom, vroom, and the sound bounced off the shops. "What's a blind chick like you doing out here all alone?" His buddies laughed, their voices like barks. They moved their bikes closer, circling Mia like wolves around a little lamb. Dust flew up, sticking to her shoes. The air smelled like gas and dirt now, not flowers and bread. Mia didn't move fast. She didn't jump or yell. She just kept walking, her cane tapping the ground. Talp, talp, talp. Slow and steady, like nothing was wrong. Rex stayed right next to her, his big body calm. His fur brushed her leg as they moved. Spike's grin turned into a sneer, a mean twist of his lips. "Ah, what's wrong?" he said, his voice loud over the engines. "Can't see us coming to mess with you?" He pushed his bike closer, the front while almost touching her cane. His buddies laughed again, slapping their legs like it was the funniest thing ever. Most people would have been scared. Imagine it, 5 big, loud bikes all around you, their engines roaring, their riders shouting. Most people would have run or cried or begged them to stop. Not Mia. She didn't even blink. Well, she couldn't, but you know what I mean. Her face stayed calm. Her smile didn't go away. She just tightened her hand on Rex's leash a tiny bit. Not a lot, just a little squeeze. Rex felt it. His eyes flicked up to her, then back to Spike. But Spike didn't see that. Neither did his crew. They were too busy acting tough, thinking they'd found someone easy to pick on. Big mistake. The bikers kept going. They didn't stop with just words. One of them, a skinny guy with a red bandana, revved his bike and zipped past Mia, so close the wind tugged at her hair. "Whoops," he yelled, laughing like a hyena. Another one, a guy with a big belly, rolled his bike right behind her, making the engine sputter loud in her ears. "Move it, lady," he bellowed. They were having fun, treating her like a toy they could push around. The dust got thicker, swirling in the air. People on the sidewalk started whispering. "Those jerks," someone muttered. "Leave her alone," said another. But no one stepped in. They just watched. Spike loved it. He loved the noise, the dust, the way his buddies egged him on. He leaned closer to Mia, his bike rumbling like a monster. "Hey, blind girl," he said, his voice dripping with meanness. "Where's your mommy?" "Oh, wait, you can't see her." His gang roared with laughter, their bikes shaking the ground. Spike's grin got wider. He thought he was so smart, so tough. He thought Mia was scared inside, even if she didn't show it. He thought she was weak because she couldn't see. He thought wrong. Mia kept walking. Talp, talp, talp. Her cane didn't stop. Rex didn't stop either. His paws hit the ground soft and steady, like he didn't care about the bikes or the noise. But his ears were up now. His eyes were sharp. He watched Spike. He watched the others. He didn't growl or bark. Not yet. But he was paying attention. Real close attention. Mia's hand stayed tight on his leash. Her fingers curled just a bit more. She didn't say a word. She didn't have to. She had Rex, and that was enough. Spike didn't like that she wasn't scared. He wanted her to jump. He wanted her to cry. He wanted her to run away, so he could laugh even more. "What's the matter?" he yelled, revving his bike again. "Virum, too dumb to talk? We're just too blind to know what's coming." His buddies hooted and hollered, circling tighter. The circle got smaller, the bikes closer. Dust stung Mia's face, but she didn't wipe it off. She didn't flinch. She didn't stop. Talp, talp, talp. The people watching started to feel bad. "Poor Mia," a lady said, clutching her purse. "She can't even see them." A man shook his head. "Those guys are mean. Someone should do something." But no one did. They stayed on the sidewalk, safe and far away. They didn't know Mia didn't need their help. They didn't know she wasn't scared. They didn't know about Rex, not yet. Spike's bike inched closer. The wheel bumped the tip of Mia's cane, making it wobble in her hand. "Oops," he said, pretending it was an accident. His grin said it wasn't. "Better watch where you're going, lady." "Oh, wait, you can't." More laughter from his gang. They were loud now, louder than the engines. The skinny guy zipped past again, so close his jacket brushed Rex's fur. The big belly guy revved his bike right behind her, making the ground shake. They were closing in like a net tightening around her. But Mia? She was calm. Too calm, maybe. Her hand on the leash didn't shake. Her steps didn't waver. Talp, talp, talp. Rex stayed by her side, his big body strong and steady. His ears flicked toward Spike, then the skinny guy, then the big belly guy. He didn't miss a thing. His eyes were like lasers cutting through the dust. Spike didn't notice. His buddies didn't notice. They were too busy shouting and laughing, thinking they were in charge. They thought Mia was easy. They thought Rex was just a dog. Wrong, wrong, wrong. The tension was building. You could feel it in the air, like the moment before a storm hits. The bikes roared. The dust flew. The gang kept yelling. "Hey, lady, say something," the skinny guy shouted. "What's your dumb dog gonna do about it?" the big belly guy added, laughing so hard he almost fell off his bike. Spike just grinned, his eyes locked on Mia. He wanted to break her. He wanted to see her crack. He didn't know she was tougher than he'd ever be. Mia's cane tapped the ground. Talp, talp, talp. She didn't speed up. She didn't slow down. She didn't turn her head, even though she couldn't see. She just kept going like the bikes weren't there. Like the noise didn't matter. Like Spike and his gang were nothing. And Rex? He stayed right with her. His big paws moved slow and sure. His ears stayed up. His eyes stayed sharp. He didn't bark. He didn't growl. But something about him said he was ready. Ready for what? Spike didn't know. His buddies didn't know. But they'd find out soon. The bikers didn't stop. They kept circling, kept shouting, kept pushing. "Hey, blind chick," Spike yelled again. "You lost or something? Need us to show you the way?" His voice was meaner now, sharper. He revved his bike louder, vroom, 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 and rolled it right in front of her, blocking her path. Dust exploded around them, a big, dirty cloud. Mia stopped. Her cane rested on the ground. Rex stopped too, his head high. The gang laughed, thinking they'd won. "Gotcha now," the skinny guy said, zooming past one more time. Most people would have been terrified. 5 big guys, 5 loud bikes, all that dust and noise, it was a lot. Most people would have screamed or begged or tried to run. Not Mia. She stood there, calm as ever. Her hand tightened on Rex's leash just a tiny bit more. Her quiet smile didn't fade. She didn't say a word. She didn't have to. Rex was with her, and that was all she needed. Spike leaned forward on his bike, his grin huge. "What's wrong, lady?" he said, his voice mocking. "Scared yet? You should be." His buddies laughed again, their voices bouncing around the street. They thought they had her trapped. They thought she was helpless. They thought Rex was just a big, dumb dog. They were so busy being mean, they didn't see what was coming. They didn't see Mia's strength. They didn't see Rex's secret. Big mistake. Huge mistake. The air was thick now, not just with dust, but with something else. Something heavy. Something tense. The people on the sidewalk held their breath. The bikers kept laughing, but it sounded forced, like they were trying too hard. Mia stood still, her cane quiet. Rex stood still, his eyes locked on Spike. The engines roared, the dust swirled, the gang shouted. But underneath it all, something was building. Something big. Something they weren't ready for. Spike didn't notice Mia's hand on the leash. He didn't notice Rex's ears or his eyes. He didn't notice the way the air felt tighter, like a rubber band about to snap. He was too busy grinning, too busy yelling, too busy thinking he was the toughest guy around. His buddies didn't notice either. They were too caught up in their game, too sure they'd picked the perfect target. They didn't know they'd picked the wrong one. The very, very wrong one. The tension grew. The bikes circled closer. The noise got louder. The dust got thicker. Spike's grin got meaner. And Mia? She just stood there, calm and quiet, with Rex by her side. She didn't flinch. She didn't panic. She didn't run. She didn't need to, because she had something Spike didn't expect. Something his gang couldn't imagine. Something that was about to change everything. What was it? Oh, you'll see. This was just the beginning. The real surprise was still coming. And it was going to be wild. The bikers didn't quit. They kept going, following Mia down Main Street like a pack of loud, mean shadows. Their engines roared, vroom, vroom, so loud the windows in the shops shook a little. Dust flew up everywhere, making the air dirty and gray. Spike, the leader, rode his big black bike right in front of Mia, grinning his nasty grin. His buddies stayed close, circling her like buzzards around a snack. They weren't done being rude, not even close. For a few minutes, it felt like forever, they stayed on her tail. They shouted mean things, their voices sharp and loud. "Hey, blind lady," one of them yelled. It was the skinny guy with the red bandana. "Come on, say something. Don't just walk there like a dummy." His laugh was high and wild, like a crazy bird. Another one, the big guy with the belly, revved his engine super loud and shouted, "Or is your dog gonna bark for you?" Woof, woof. The gang howled with laughter, slapping their bikes and leaning back like they were the kings of the street. Spike didn't say much right then. He just watched Mia, his eyes narrow and mean. He liked seeing his crew act tough. He liked the noise. He liked thinking Mia was scared, even if she didn't show it. The bikes kept moving, zooming past her, circling back, kicking up more dust. The sound was so big it filled the whole town. Kids on the sidewalk covered their ears. The hot dog man frowned and muttered under his breath. The lady with the flowers shook her head, her hands on her hips. But the bikers didn't care. They thought they owned Dusty Hollow. They thought Mia was theirs to mess with. Mia didn't stop walking. Her cane kept tapping the ground. Tap, tap, tap like nothing was happening. Her face stayed calm. Too calm, if you ask me. Most people would have been shaking or yelling by now. Most people would have turned around and run from those loud bikes and mean voices. Not Mia. She kept going, slow and steady, like the bikers were just flies buzzing around her. Rex stayed right by her side, his big paws quiet on the ground. His fur didn't even ruffle in the wind from the bikes. He was calm too, way too calm. Then Mia did something small. So small the bikers didn't even notice. She leaned down a tiny bit and whispered to Rex. Her voice was soft, super soft, like a secret just for him. No one else heard it. Not Spike. Not his gang. Not the people watching from the sidewalk. The engines were too loud, and Mia's whisper was too quiet. But Rex heard it. His ears perked up, standing tall like little triangles. His eyes, those sharp, smart eyes, locked onto Spike. He didn't growl. He didn't bark. He just looked. And if you were paying attention, you'd see something different about him. Rex moved different now. Not fast or jumpy, but smooth, steady, like he knew something, like he was waiting for something. His big body stayed close to Mia, but his head turned just a little, following Spike's bike. His paws hit the ground soft and sure, like a cat sneaking up on a mouse. If those bikers had looked closer, if they'd really paid attention, they might have noticed. They might have seen how Rex wasn't just walking. He was watching, waiting, ready, but they didn't notice. They were too busy laughing, too busy shouting, too busy thinking they were the toughest guys around. The skinny guy zoomed past Mia again, so close his bike almost bumped her cane. "Hey lady," he yelled. "What's wrong with you?" Too scared to talk. He laughed and spun his bike around, kicking up more dust. The big belly guy rolled up behind her, revving his engine loud, vroom, right in her ears. "Move faster, blind chick," he shouted, "or we'll run you over." He didn't mean it. Not really. But he wanted her to jump. He wanted her to freak out. The gang laughed again, their voices bouncing off the buildings. Spike stayed in front, his bike rumbling low and mean. He tilted his head, watching Mia like a hawk. "She's no fun," he said to his crew, loud enough for her to hear. "Let's make her fun." He revved his engine, vroom, vroom, and rolled closer, his wool spitting dirt at her shoes. His grin got bigger, showing more teeth. He thought he had her. He thought she was weak. He thought she'd crack soon. He didn't know Mia at all. Mia didn't crack. She didn't jump. She didn't yell. She just kept walking, tap, 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 with that quiet smile on her face. Rex stayed with her, his eyes still on Spike. The bikers kept going, louder and meaner every second. "Hey dog," the skinny guy shouted at Rex. "You gonna do something, huh? Bark for your lady." He made a fake bark. Woof, woof. And his buddies laughed so hard they almost fell off their bikes. "Stupid mutt," the big belly guy added, spitting on the ground. "Probably too dumb to bite." If they looked at Rex, really looked, they might have seen something. His ears didn't just perk up. They stayed up like he was listening to every word. His eyes didn't just watch Spike. They followed every move, the bikes, the riders, the dust. His body didn't just walk. It moved like he was ready to spring, like a coiled-up spring waiting to pop. But the bikers didn't look. They didn't see. They were too caught up in their fun, too sure they were winning. A few people in Dusty Hollow started watching closer now. They peeked out their windows, their faces worried. "Poor Mia," an old lady muttered, her hands twisting a napkin. She was in the candy store, looking through the glass. "Those boys are awful, picking on a blind lady like that." Next door, in the bakery, a man shook his head. "Someone ought to stop those jerks," he said, wiping flour off his hands. "She don't deserve that." Across the street, a mom pulled her kid closer, whispering, "Stay away from them, sweetie." They all felt bad for Mia. They all thought she was in trouble. They all thought she needed help. But Mia didn't need help. Not yet. She had Rex. And Rex? He wasn't just some dog. He had a past, a big, secret past, that those bikers couldn't even dream of. The townspeople didn't know it. Spike and his gang didn't know it. But it was there, hiding in Rex's big brown eyes and strong legs. Something amazing. Something wild. Something they'd find out about soon. The bikers kept at it. Minutes passed. 5, 10, maybe more, and they didn't let up. The skinny guy rode circles around Mia, yelling, "Hey lady, you deaf too?" The big belly guy stayed behind her, revving his engine over and over, vroom, 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 like a monster growling. Another guy, a short one with a scar on his cheek, tossed an empty soda can toward her. It bounced on the ground near her feet, clinking loud. "Pick it up, blind girl," he shouted, laughing. Spike just watched, his grin growing. He loved this. He loved the noise, the mess, the power. Mia didn't pick up the can. She didn't yell back. She didn't even stop. Tap, tap, tap. Her cane kept going, steady as a drum. Rex stayed by her side, his eyes flicking to the can, then back to Spike. His ears stayed up. His body stayed ready. Mia whispered to him again, so soft, so quiet. No one heard it but Rex. His head tilted just a tiny bit, like he was saying, "Okay, I got it." But the bikers didn't see that. They didn't hear it. They were too loud, too busy, too dumb. The dust got thicker. The noise got bigger. The gang got meaner. "Say something," the skinny guy shouted again, zooming past so fast his bike wobbled. "Or are you chicken?" The big belly guy laughed and added, "Bawk, bawk." Chicken lady and her chicken dog. They all cracked up, their voices mixing with the engines. Spike raised a hand, like he was about to say something big. "Hey, blind chick," he called, his voice slow and mean. "You're boring me. Let's see if you can run." He revved his bike loud, vroom, and rolled it right up to her, stopping an inch from her cane. Mia stopped walking. Her cane rested on the ground. Rex stopped too, his big body still. The gang cheered, thinking they'd finally got her. "There we go," the skinny guy yelled. "Now she's scared." The short guy with the scar clapped his hands. "Run, lady, run," he shouted. The big belly guy revved his engine again, making the ground shake. Spike just grinned, leaning forward on his bike. "Go on," he said. "Show us what you got." Mia didn't run. She didn't move. She stood there calm and quiet. Her hand tightened on Rex's leash just a little more. Rex's eyes locked on Spike, hard and steady. If those bikers had been smart, if they'd looked close, they might have seen it. They might have seen how Rex wasn't scared, how he wasn't just standing there, how he was waiting for something big. But they didn't see. They didn't look. They were too busy cheering, too busy laughing, too busy thinking they'd won. The townspeople watched, their hearts beating fast. "Oh no," the old lady in the candy store whispered. "She's trapped." The baker clenched his fists. "Those jerks are going to hurt her," he muttered. The mom on the sidewalk hugged her kid tighter. "Poor Mia," she said. They all thought she was done for. They all thought the bikers had her. They didn't know Mia wasn't trapped. They didn't know Rex wasn't just a dog. The air was tense now, like the moment before thunder. The bikes roared. The dust swirled. The gang shouted. Mia stood still. Rex stood ready. Something was coming. Something small at first, but growing. The bikers didn't see it yet. They didn't feel it. They were too loud, too mean, too blind themselves. Rex's past was a secret, a big one. He wasn't always Mia's guide dog. He'd been somewhere else, done something else. Something tough, something wild. The townspeople didn't know. The bikers didn't know. But Mia knew, and Rex knew. And that secret, it was starting to peek out, little by little, in the way Rex moved, in the way he watched, in the way he waited. The bikers kept going, louder, meaner, closer. "Run, lady," the skinny guy yelled again, "or we'll make you." The big belly guy revved his engine so hard his bike shook. Spike leaned closer, his grin huge. "Time's up," he said, his voice low and mean. "Let's have some real fun." Mia didn't run. She didn't cry. She didn't beg. She just stood there, her cane still, her smile quiet. Rex stood with her, his eyes like fire. The gang didn't notice. They didn't see the small signs, the ears, the eyes, the waiting. They didn't know what was coming. But it was, the tension was huge now. The street was loud. The dust was thick. The bikers were wild. And Mia? She was calm. Too calm. Rex was ready. Too ready. Something big was about to happen. Something they'd never expect. Something that would change everything. What was it? You'll see. It's coming soon. Real soon. Things were loud and messy on Main Street. The bikers had been picking on Mia for a while now, shouting, laughing, revving their engines. Dust was everywhere, and the air shook with noise. Spike, the leader, was the meanest of them all. He'd been grinning and yelling, thinking he had Mia trapped. His gang circled her, their bikes roaring like angry beasts. Mia stood still, her cane quiet on the ground. Rex, her big German shepherd, stayed by her side, his eyes sharp. The bikers thought they were in charge. They thought Mia was scared. They thought Rex was just a dumb dog. Oh, they were so wrong. Spike was done playing around. He'd been talking and taunting, but that wasn't enough for him anymore. He wanted to push it further, way further. He wanted Mia to break. He wanted her to run or cry or beg. So he swung his big black bike right in front of her, fast and loud. Vroom! The engine growled as he cut her off, blocking her path. Dust flew up in a big cloud, sticking to her shoes. He leaned forward on his bike, his nasty grin showing all his teeth. "Let's see you get around this," he taunted, his voice loud and mean. He laughed, short and sharp, like he'd won a game. Mia stopped walking. Her cane didn't tap anymore. It just rested on the ground, still as a rock. Rex stopped too, his big paws planted firm. The other bikers cheered. Wild, crazy cheers. "Yes, Spike," the skinny guy with the red bandana yelled. "She's stuck now." The big belly guy revved his engine, vroom, and shouted, "No way out, lady." The short guy with the scar clapped his hands and laughed. "Got her good," they all said, their voices mixing with the noise of the bikes. They thought Mia was trapped. They thought she'd panic. They thought they were the toughest guys around. Mia didn't panic. She didn't move. She just stood there calm and quiet, her head tilted a little, like she was listening to something only she could hear. The bikers didn't notice. They were too busy shouting and laughing. The people watching from the sidewalk didn't notice either. They were too busy gasping, their hands over their mouths. "Oh no," the old lady in the candy store whispered. "She's done for." The baker shook his head, his face red. "Those jerks," he muttered. Everyone thought Mia was in big trouble. Everyone but Mia. Then she spoke. Her voice was clear, strong and steady, like a bell ringing through the noise. "Rex secure," she said. Just 2 words. Simple, quiet, but they changed everything. In a flash, Rex moved. 1 second, he was a calm guide dog standing by Mia's side. The next, he was a blur of fur and muscle, fast as lightning. He sprang into action, his big body leaping forward. A deep growl rumbled from his chest, low and loud, like thunder. He lunged at Spike's bike, his paws slamming down hard on the handlebars. Bam! The bike wobbled, shaking like it was scared. Spike's grin disappeared. His eyes got wide, and he yelped, a short, high sound, like a kid who dropped his ice cream. The bike tipped, and Spike crashed to the ground with a loud thud. Dust puffed up around him, covering his leather jacket. The other bikers froze. Their laughs stopped. Their bikes slowed. They didn't know what to do. Before they could even blink, Rex spun around, fast and fierce. He opened his mouth and barked, so loud it echoed off the buildings. Woof, woof. But this wasn't just any bark. It wasn't a yippee little noise like a puppy chasing a ball. It was sharp. It was strong. It was a command, like a soldier shouting an order. The sound hit the bikers like a slap, making their ears ring. What the heck?" the skinny guy stammered. His voice shook, and he backed his bike up a little, his hands trembling on the handlebars. The big belly guy's mouth fell open, his big belly jiggling as he stared. The short guy with the scar blinked fast, like he couldn't believe his eyes. They all looked at Rex, really looked at him, for the first time. He wasn't just standing there anymore. He was big. He was tall. His fur bristled, and his teeth flashed white in the sun. He wasn't a fluffy pet. He was something else. Something scary. Spike scrambled on the ground. His bike tipped over next to him. "Get off me," he yelled, kicking at the dirt. His tough guy act was gone. He looked small now, like a kid who'd fallen off his tricycle. He tried to stand, but his boots slipped in the dust. Rex turned to him, his growl low and steady. Spike froze, his hands up like he was saying, "Whoa, wait." That's when Mia spoke again. Her voice cut through the air, steady and strong. "You might want to leave now," she said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "Rex doesn't like bullies, and he's not your average dog. He's a retired Navy SEAL K-9, trained to take down guys way tougher than you." The words hung there, heavy and big. Spike's jaw dropped. His mouth opened wide, like a fish out of water. The skinny guy's eyes got huge, his bandana slipping down his forehead. The big belly guy gulped, his hands shaking on his bike. The short guy with the scar blinked again, his scar twitching. A Navy SEAL dog? A retired Navy SEAL K-9? This wasn't some fluffy pet you'd pet at the park. This was a warrior, a dog trained to fight, to protect, to win. A dog with teeth and power and a past they couldn't even imagine. The gang didn't move. They couldn't. They just stared at Rex, then at Mia, then back at Rex. The truth hit them hard, like a brick to the face. They'd been picking on the wrong person. They'd been laughing at the wrong dog. Rex stood tall, his growl rumbling low, his eyes locked on Spike. His paws were planted firm, like he owned the street now. And Mia? She stood behind him, her cane still, her face calm. She didn't need to shout. She didn't need to run. She had Rex, and Rex had her back. The people watching gasped loud. Did she say Navy SEAL? The old lady in the candy store squeaked. That dog is Soldier. The baker's jaw dropped, flour falling off his apron. No way, he said, his voice shaky. The mom on the sidewalk hugged her kid tight. He's a hero, she whispered. They all looked at Rex different now. They saw him, really saw him for the first time. He wasn't just Mia's guide dog. He was something bigger, something amazing. Spike finally got to his feet, his leather jacket dirty. A Navy SEAL dog, he muttered, his voice small. He looked at Rex, then at his bike, then at Mia. His grin was gone. His tough act was gone. He didn't know what to say. His buddies didn't either. The skinny guy backed his bike up more, his wheels squeaking. Spike, he said, his voice high. Maybe we should go. The big belly guy nodded fast. Yeah, let's get out of here, he said, his belly bouncing as he turned his bike. The short guy with the scar just stared, his hands frozen on his handlebars. Rex barked again, woof, sharp and loud. It wasn't a question. It was an order. The bikers jumped, their bikes wobbling. Spike held up his hands like he was surrendering. Okay, he said, his voice cracking. We're going. Call off your dog. He grabbed his bike, pulling it up fast. Dust fell off in clumps. He climbed on, his boots slipping once before he got steady. Mia didn't say anything else. She didn't need to. She just stood there, her hand on Rex's leash, her face still calm. Rex stopped barking, but his growl stayed low, rumbling like a warning. His eyes didn't leave Spike. Not for a second. The gang started their engines. Vroom, vroom. But it didn't sound tough anymore. It sounded scared. They turned their bikes, fast and messy, wheels spinning in the dirt. The skinny guy peeled out first, his bike zooming down the street. I'm out of here, he yelled, his bandana flapping. The big belly guy followed, his engine sputtering as he raced away. The short guy with the scar took off next, his tires squealing loud. Spike went last, his face red and mad, but mostly scared. This ain't over, he shouted, but his voice shook. No one believed him, not even him. The bikes roared away, the sound getting smaller and smaller until it was gone. Dust settled slow, leaving the street quiet again. Mia patted Rex's head. Good boy, she said, her voice soft. Rex wagged his tail, just a little, and sat down next to her. His growl stopped. His ears relaxed. He looked calm again, like nothing had happened. But everyone knew now. Everyone saw it. Rex wasn't just a guide dog. He was a Navy SEAL K-9, a hero with teeth and training and power. The people on Main Street started clapping. First one person, then two, then a whole crowd. Way to go, Mia, the baker yelled, his hands smacking together. That dog's amazing, the old lady shouted, her napkin falling to the floor. The mom lifted her kid up, both of them cheering. Rex is the best, the kid squealed. The hot dog man whistled loud, his cart rattling. They all smiled at Mia and Rex, their faces full of awe. Mia didn't say much. She just nodded, her quiet smile back. She tapped her cane, tap, 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 and started walking again. Rex walked with her, his big paws steady. The crowd kept clapping as they went, their cheers bouncing off the buildings. The bikers were gone. The trouble was over. And Mia and Rex? They were the heroes of Dusty Hollow. The big reveal was done. Rex's secret was out. He wasn't just a dog. He was a warrior. And Spike and his gang? They'd never forget it. Not ever. The bikers didn't wait around to see what Rex could do next. They were scared. Real scared. Spike, the big tough leader, wasn't so tough anymore. He was on the ground, his bike tipped over, dust all over his fancy leather jacket. His mean grin was gone, and his eyes were wide like a kid who'd seen a ghost. He scrambled to his feet, tripping over his own boots. Stupid dog, he muttered, saying some bad words under his breath. He grabbed his bike and yanked it upright, his hands shaking a little. He didn't look at Mia. He didn't look at Rex. He just wanted out. Let's get out of here. Spike yelled, his voice loud but wobbly. His gang didn't argue. The skinny guy with the red bandana nodded fast, his bandana flapping loose. The big belly guy turned his bike, so quick he almost fell off. The short guy with the scar didn't even look back. He just revved his engine. Veerum, veerum. They all started their bikes at once, the noise big and messy. Tires screeched loud on the road like a scream. Dust flew up in a huge cloud, so thick you couldn't see through it. The bikers peeled out, zooming down Main Street faster than they'd ever moved before. They didn't stop. They didn't slow down. They just went away, gone, out of sight. Mia stood there, her cane still in her hand. She didn't move. She didn't shout. She just watched, or listened, really, as the bikers ran away. Rex sat next to her, his big body calm again. His growl was gone. His ears were down a little, relaxed. Mia reached down and patted his head, her fingers soft in his fur. "Good boy," she said, her voice quiet and warm. A small smile came to her face, not a big one, just a little one. It was like she knew everything was okay now. Rex wagged his tail, just a tiny wag, and looked up at her. They were a team, and they'd won. The people in Dusty Hollow couldn't believe it. They'd been watching the whole thing, hiding behind windows, standing on the sidewalk, holding their breath. When the bikers took off, the crowd went wild. One person started clapping, slow at first, clap, clap, clap. Then another joined in, then another. Soon it was a whole bunch of people clapping, their hands smacking together loud and happy. "Did you see that?" a man shouted from the bakery, his apron still white with flour. "That dog's a hero," a lady yelled from the candy store, her voice high and excited. Kids jumped up and down, cheering. "Go Rex! Go Mia," they squealed. Mia didn't say much. She didn't wave or bow or make a big deal. She just nodded a little, like she was saying thanks without words. Then she tapped her cane, tap, 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 and started walking again. Rex got up and walked with her, his big paws quiet on the ground. They moved slow and steady, just like before, like nothing had happened. The crowd kept clapping as they went, their cheers following Mia and Rex down the street. It was like a parade, but with no music, just happy noise. The dust settled slow. The air got clear again. The sun was still shining, bright and warm. Main Street looked normal now. No bikes, no mean guys, just people smiling and talking. The hot dog man went back to his cart, whistling a little tune. The lady with the flowers picked up her watering can, grinning big. The kids ran to the park, laughing about Rex and how cool he was. Dusty Hollow was peaceful again, and it felt good. Word spread fast, like super fast. By the next day, everyone in town knew what happened. People talked about it at breakfast, at the candy store, at the swings in the park. "Did you hear about Mia and her dog?" a lady asked, slicing bread in the bakery. "Yeah," a man said, buying a hot dog. "That Rex, he's a Navy SEAL dog. Took down those bikers like nothing." Kids ran around pretending to be Rex, barking and jumping. "Woof, woof, I'm a hero dog," they shouted, giggling. The old lady in the candy store told the story to every customer. "Those mean boys came roaring in," she said, her hands waving. "Thought they could scare Mia. But that dog, oh, that dog. He jumped right at him, sent him running like scaredy cats." She laughed, her eyes twinkling. The baker told it too, adding extra bits. Spike hit the ground, bam, and his face was all red. Never seen a tough guy look so silly. People listened, their mouths open, then smiled big. Mia and Rex were the talk of town. No one messed with Mia after that. Not a single person. If she walked down Main Street, tap, 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 with Rex by her side, people waved and said hi. "Morning, Mia," they'd call. "Hey, Rex." Kids ran up to pet him, and Mia let them. "He's nice," she'd say, her voice soft. "Just don't be mean, and he won't mind." The kids nodded, their hands gentle on Rex's fur. He'd wag his tail a little, happy to be liked. Rex got treats now, lots of treats. The baker made special dog biscuits, big and crunchy. "For our hero," he'd say, handing them to Mia. The candy store lady gave him gumdrops. Well, not really, but she wanted to. "Can dogs eat candy?" she asked. Mia laughed, her quiet laugh, and said, "No, but thanks." The hot dog man saved extra bits of meat for Rex, tossing them with a grin. "Best dog in town," he'd say. Rex ate it all, his tail wagging slow and steady. The bikers? They never came back. Not once. People said they heard the gang rode to another town, far, far away, and stayed there. Guess they didn't like Dusty Hollow anymore. The baker chuckled, kneading dough. "Guess they didn't like Rex," the hot dog man added, laughing loud. Spike and his crew were gone for good. No more loud bikes. No more mean laughs. No more trouble. They'd learned their lesson the hard way. Don't judge someone by what you think you see. Mia kept living her quiet life. She stayed in her little yellow house at the edge of town, with its white fence and pretty flowers. She walked to the bakery sometimes, just to sit outside and smell the bread. Tap, tap, tap. Her cane led the way, and Rex walked with her, his big body strong and calm. She didn't talk much about what happened. If someone asked, she'd just smile and say, Rex took care of it. That was all. She didn't need to brag. She didn't need to shout. She had Rex, and that was enough. The townspeople changed, though. They didn't see Mia the same way anymore. Before, they'd say, poor Mia, she's blind, and feel bad for her. Now, they said, that's Mia. She's tough, and Rex is the coolest dog ever. They didn't pity her. They liked her, really liked her. She wasn't just a blind lady with cane. She was Mia, the lady with the hero dog. And Rex? He wasn't just a guide dog. He was a Navy SEAL canine, a warrior who'd save the day. Kids made up games about it. They'd run around the park, one pretending to be Spike, falling off a pretend bike. Oh no, Rex got me, they'd yell laughing. Another kid would be Rex, barking loud, woof, woof, and chasing them. I'm a SEAL dog, they'd shout. Don't mess with me. Parents watched, smiling big. That's Dusty Hollow's story now, they'd say. Mia and Rex against the bikers. Even the grown-ups learned something. You never know who someone really is, the baker said one day, handing out rolls. Mia looked quiet, but she's strong. And that dog, wow. The hot dog man nodded, flipping a hot dog on his grill. Don't judge people by how they look, he said. Spike thought Mia was weak. Big mistake. They all agreed. Dusty Hollow wasn't a place for bullies anymore. Days turned into weeks, and the story didn't fade. People kept talking about it. New folks moving to town heard it right away. Oh, you're in Dusty Hollow, someone would say. That's where Mia and Rex scared off those bikers. It was like a badge for the town, a happy, proud badge. The candy store lady even put a little sign in her window, Home of Rex, the hero dog. It made people smile when they walked by. Mia didn't mind the attention, but she didn't chase it either. She liked her quiet walks, her little house, her time with Rex. Sometimes she'd sit on her porch, the sun warm on her face, and listen to the birds. Rex would lie next to her, his head on his paws, snoozing. They were happy, just the two of them. The town buzzed around them, but they stayed calm, like the eye of storm. One day, a kid asked Mia, "Were you scared of those bikers?" He was little, with big eyes, holding a stick like a cane. Mia thought for a second, then smiled her small smile. "No," she said. "I had Rex." The kid grinned big. "Rex is awesome," he said, running off to tell his friends. Mia patted Rex's head, and he wagged his tail. They didn't need to say more. They knew. Justice was served that day on Main Street. The bikers got what they deserved, scared off, embarrassed, gone. Spike wanted to be tough, but he ended up looking silly, crashing in the dust. His gang wanted to be mean, but they ran like chickens. Mia didn't need to fight. She didn't need to yell. She just let Rex do his thing, and that was enough. The bad guys lost. The good guys won, and Dusty Hollow was better for it. The lesson stuck. Don't judge someone by what you think you see. Mia looked quiet, but she was strong. Rex looked like just a dog, but he was a hero. Spike and his gang didn't get it until it was too late. They thought they could pick on anyone. They thought wrong. And now they were gone, and Mia and Rex were still here, walking tall. The clapping faded that day, but the feeling didn't. Dusty Hollow remembered. Mia and Rex made sure of it. Trouble came, and they sent it packing. Justice was served, simple, clear, and sweet. So what's the big lesson here? What's the takeaway for Mia and Rex and those mean bikers? It's simple, but it's big. Sometimes, the ones who look the weakest are really the strongest of all. Think about it. Mia didn't look tough. She was quiet. She was blind. She walked slow with her cane, tap, tap, tap. People saw her and thought, "Oh, she's not strong. She's just a lady who can't see." And the bikers? They thought the same thing. They saw her and grinned, thinking she was easy to mess with. But they were wrong, super wrong. Mia didn't need to shout. She didn't need to fight with her hands. She didn't need to run around or act big. She had Rex, and Rex had her back. That's all she needed. Rex looked like just a dog, a big one sure, but still a dog. He walked next to her, calm and quiet, helping her get around. No one thought he was special at first. No one thought he could do anything amazing. But he did. Oh, he did. When the time came, Rex showed everyone who he really was, a Navy SEAL K9, a hero dog with power and smarts. He jumped on Spike's bike, barked loud, and sent those bikers running scared. Mia didn't have to do much. She just said, "Rex, secure," and he took care of it. That's strength, real strength. And those bikers? They learned something hard that day. They learned it the tough way, with dust in their faces and their bikes wobbling. They thought looks tell you everything. They saw Mia and thought, weak. They saw Rex and thought, just a dog. They judged her by what they saw on the outside. Her cane, her slow walk, her quiet voice. They didn't look deeper. They didn't wonder. And boy, did they mess up. Looks can trick you. They can fool you big time. You think you know someone, but you don't. Not until you see what's inside or what's waiting next to them like Rex. So here's the thing to remember. Next time you see someone quiet, someone small, someone you think you can push around, stop. Think about Mia. Think about Rex. You never know who they really are. You never know what they've got hiding in the shadows. Maybe they're stronger than you think. Maybe they've got a friend like Rex, someone or something ready to stand up for them. You can't tell just by looking. You have to wait and see. And if you're smart, you won't mess with them. Not unless you want to end up like Spike, crashing in the dirt with everyone laughing. That's the cool part of this story. It makes you think. It makes you wonder. Who's strong? Who's not? You can't always guess right away. Mia didn't look like a hero. She didn't act loud or tough. But she was a hero anyway. Her and Rex together. They didn't need big muscles or loud voices. They had something better. Trust, teamwork, and a secret that surprised everyone. The bikers didn't see it coming. The townspeople didn't either. But when it happened, wow, it was awesome. Let's talk about the bikers for a minute. Spike and his gang thought they were the bosses of everything. They rode in loud, vroom, vroom, with their shiny bikes and mean laughs. They thought they could do whatever they wanted. They thought picking on Mia would be fun, easy even. They were wrong, and it showed. When Rex jumped, when Mia spoke, when the truth came out, they didn't look so big anymore. Spike fell off his bike. His buddies ran away. They went from tough guys to scaredy cats in a snap. Why? Because they judged wrong. They didn't think Mia could fight back. They didn't think Rex was anything special. And they paid for it, not with fists, but with embarrassment. They ran off, and Dusty Hollow never saw them again. Now think about Mia. She didn't get mad. She didn't yell at the bikers or chase them. She stayed calm, super calm. She let Rex handle it. That's power. Not the loud kind, not the show-off kind, but the quiet kind. The kind that waits until it's time, then boom, it's there. Mia knew she didn't have to prove anything. She knew Rex had her back. That's why she smiled, why she didn't panic. She trusted him, and he trusted her. Together, they were unstoppable. That's a lesson, too. Having someone you can count on makes you strong, even if you don't look it. What about Rex? He's the star, right? A Navy SEAL K9. How cool is that? He wasn't always Mia's guide dog. He had a big life before, running with soldiers, learning commands, being brave. Then he came to Mia, and he still used all that training. He didn't bark for no reason. He didn't jump around like a silly puppy. He waited. He watched. And when Mia said secure, he moved fast. Bam! Like a superhero. That's what makes him so great. He's quiet until he needs to be loud. He's calm until he needs to be fierce. He's a friend and a fighter, all in one big, furry package. So what does this mean for you? It's simple. Don't judge people too fast. Don't think you know everything about someone just because they're quiet or small or different. Maybe they're like Mia, strong inside, even if they don't show it. Maybe they've got a Rex in their life, someone or something ready to stand up when it counts. You don't know until you see it. And if you're mean, if you push them, you might find out the hard way, just like Spike did. This story's got a twist, doesn't it? That's the fun part. You thought Mia was in trouble. You thought the bikers would win. Then, surprise, Rex turned it all around. He's not just a dog. He's a hero. And Mia's not just a lady. She's a winner. What did you think of that twist? Did it make you cheer? Did it make you smile? Tell me in the comments. I want to know. Did you jump when Rex lunged at Spike's bike? Did you laugh when the bikers ran away? I bet you did. It's a good twist, one that sticks with you. And here's a question for you. Would you want a dog like Rex by your side? Think about it. A big, smart, brave dog who helps you, protects you, and makes bullies run. Wouldn't that be awesome? I'd want Rex. He's the best kind of friend. Quiet when you need peace, strong when you need help. Tell me in the comments. Would you pick Rex? Why? What would you do with a dog like him? I bet you've got some cool ideas. This story's over, but it's not really gone. It stays with you. It makes you think about strength, about friends, about surprises. Mia and Rex showed Dusty Hollow and us that you don't have to look big to be big. You don't have to shout to win. You just need to be you and maybe have a Rex to help. The bikers learned that. The townspeople learned that. And now you know it too. Next time you're out there, walking, playing, whatever, look around. See that quiet kid on the swings? See that little dog by the fence? Don't guess they're weak. Don't think you know their story. They might surprise you. They might have something or someone amazing waiting in the shadows. And if you're nice, if you're fair, you'll never have to find out the hard way. That's the smart move. That's the Mia and Rex move. So what's next? How about more stories? Fun ones, wild ones, twisty ones. Stick around, and I'll tell you another. Maybe it'll have a dog like Rex. Maybe it'll have a hero like Mia. Maybe it'll surprise you all over again. See you in the next story. Okay? Keep being awesome, and don't forget, the strongest ones don't always look it. Bye for now.